Yeah, have you fired this yoke up yet?
Mm-hmm.
How did she sound?
Man, just a real animal. Great bark offering you later up.
I meant the radio.
Oh, that? Oh, I thought you were talking about the tractor.
What are you doing to the 1950?
Put a high-low on her.
Yes.
Part of the high-low sitting on the bench among that mess of stuff.
They're very similar looking to the 50 series inside.
Just a baby version. She's just basically half of a 3050. Well, no, she's more half of a 3650 for she's turboed. A great wee tractor all the same.
If you had big tyres, one, they would nearly float.
You nearly could make them float. I went to the Moss with ours one day. My man and dad was going holidays too, and of course, I get the phone call. My dad used to be wild for going to the Moss, but thankfully he's grew out of that now. And I get the phone call when he was sunning himself in the South England. Aye, son, he says, the weather's good there at home, isn't it? I says, it is. Why? Need them turf out of the Moss. And as soon as I landed in the Moss, everybody seen me in a wee four-wheel drive tractor, so they all allowed they'd chance their 135s into the wet places. I spent about half a day towing them all out. They must just have thought, because I was there, this is a great opportunity to chance their arm and see if they can get their wee tractors into the wet spots.
One thing I've never done is work in the Moss. I've done that one video in the Moss, and that was it.
You're not missing much.
So I'm presuming that that red wire Matthew is pulling on is to power.
That's for your other beacon.
The second beacon. The second beacon. I've caved. I'm going to give in. We're getting to the final stages. We have our hitch back. It needs fitted. Matthew's doing the important stuff for me, which is we're getting the twin beacons, and we're getting the CB fitted, and we're getting our radio. Where's the old radio at, Matthew's in here?
They're both lying inside the cab.
The old radio looked like this. It even had the cassette in it.
Did it?
What do we see when we pop it out here? Yes, boy. If you're a genuine millennial born after the year 2000, this, my friends, is called an analog tape. And to get to the next song, you actually had to wind it forward and hit the stop button and hope that you were right. You didn't hit that button once and go to the next song. Just to record radio, tracks off the radio and all as a wee boy. And you tried to do it in a way that you didn't get the DJ talking. CD was the greatest invention under the sun after you get used to one of these. So we had me this morning going and looking for parts. Finding parts during Corona is particularly the first place they're wrong. They're like, yeah, we're open from 9 o'clock to 9:30 in the morning. And I'm like, I am a Ballymena here now, horse. So this radio had if you see it here, I'll try and hold it up. This little spud is where your radio antenna goes on. And our new radio, it has the female version of that for attaching your antenna. So I this morning had to find one of these, which is the adapter to go in to that gap to make my two radios have the same spud there and there. Simple as that. So that was sourced at Motorsport and Spares, is that it?
You get Motorsport and Spares?
Yes, that's where they were open. They answered the call. They said, come on ahead. He said, what is it you need? Showed him your pictures, and he marched out around the back, and he came back and he handed that to me.
Now here's the next thing. What colour does all the young boys think your CB aerial should be?
Can I just clarify right away, Matthew, that I did not know that there was a colour coordination issue on CB aerials. I just thought a CB aerial was a CB aerial. What colour would you put on?
Oh, I go for the black, but...
You would go for black?
Then I may be very old-fashioned.
Right, well, now that you mention it, I'm thinking that some people have had yellow CB.
I've seen yellow ones on them.
And if I'm honest, I would say to myself, they look okay in yellow. But you probably need two of them to make it look sensible. So bottom line is, I bought a black one done me. I think black is simple. All my trim is black, except for here in the cab. You drill holes in my roof?
Yep.
See, this is why I hate doing these things myself, is because I've always hurt fear to doing the wrong thing. and just unwilling to break anything. So ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is total and utter bliss.
That must be your favourite quote.
Oh, totally. It fits any scenario. It fits everything. If you do not know how it was done, you don't know the shortcuts, the corners that were taken. You don't know how fragile it is. Like it's like you know when you pull these in the park. Apparently, the tiny little spud that those gears lean on once you have it in P is tiny, and we all put our faith in it. Like it's the greatest, most solid.
If I'm sitting on a hill with a load on, handbrake comes on too. I don't trust it.
There you go. So,
will that be alright? Will your wee aerial be alright on there? Your big aerial?
The big aerial. He's given it to me that I bought two bigger ones.
Do you ever get them boys that used to put in the 306s and the courses and they were going through, like, you know, the car parks with height restrictions? Yes. You just heard the poing. Hear the water in that mirror.
Yeah, boy.
That's quite nice.
That's the only other pet peeve is mirrors. I'm not just ready. The mirror arms aren't quite completely done. I think this one over here is tighter than that one over there.
It's all right, John. I always keep two in stock.
Yes, lad. Is that you volunteering to put one on there?
No.
To be fair to New Holland, I'm going to give them credit. The TM mirrors were a thing to behold. They were. You could see everything you wanted to see. They didn't flap in the wind. I'm a big fan of the mirrors on a TM compared to a 10 Series Deer.
Sure, even the boys in the 7740s and stuff used to cut off the rail lower so you could get the TM mirrors and all on.
This people is my CB that I have invested in.
How much was that?
That was £99.
Twice the price of the radio.
Twice the price of the radio. I had been on Amazon as I go to everywhere for my shopping needs. If I'm looking for something, I'll look for it on Amazon first, and then I'll try and find it cheaper on a third-party site, just in case Amazon aren't quite the cheapest. Which I say I use it's called Price Spy. Quite often, it's quite effective at finding, you know, as long as it's not too obscure a thing you're buying, you'll find the same model and you'll see exactly which sites are selling it the cheapest. I had seen a wee sort of miniature-sized CB, smaller than your standard sort of Midland unit. I thought I'll have a go at that, and they were about 80 quid. But then whenever I was buying the whips, which were Thunderpole for the aerial therefore, and seen these things, the T3000. Now this has not been sponsored by these guys in any way. This is pure curiosity of mine. I spied how compact they were. Look how long that body is. That's ridiculous. These things, notoriously, the speaker was never that exciting in the built-in unit. It was usually a metal box with a few holes drilled in it, and you had to get it right, you had to buy a separate speaker and hardwire it in. Now, I think that one, you can jack in your own separate speaker to the back end of it if you want. So I am curious, just because of the way that's designed, that front plate, that along here, it's got a big decent speaker section that I'm hoping.
Was that all speaker that bit?
I'm hoping that that's going to make this thing sound sweet without an external speaker.
Aye, but sure, the John Deere's that quiet on the side, I know you don't need a big speaker.
Yeah.
Not like driving a new Ford.
So what's happening with this big Baylor wrapper outside the door?
She's just in for a wee check over, and there's a couple of wee things wrong with her, but...
What generation is that?
That's probably one of the very first combis that was ever out. I wasn't that big up my balers, to be honest. More harvesters and mowers I work at, but there's a lot of sensors around a baler.
That's what I liked the first time I heard it about the Fusion 3. All the sensors are the same.
Aye, that's a good idea, that.
Aye, that's genius. You can tell it's once a machine's starting to settle into its design evolution, that's when all the details like that start to come together.
Yep. Got your 2 beacons today as well.
Here's some parts built for me, hey.
I haven't even counted it up yet.
So I'm guessing wiring a CB, Matthew, not CB, a beacon is the easiest thing in the world. You need an earth and a power line. Is that it?
It's relatively easy, aye. Oh, this one here's even easier. That's you don't even need an earth through these ones.
No?
No. The earth comes into the... She's that style. Some of them you have to fit about with 2 wires up on there and use insulated female spades and stuff. But quite light, yeah. That's a QTP special.
Yes.
You have to watch when you're buying spurious stuff, because I would sell a lot of Vapormatic and a lot of QTP stuff, but I always pick and choose between the two, because I sort of use enough at now to know what's better.
You know what bit you like and what bit you don't? Yes.
And a lot of boys will do bad things to say about QTP, but I've sold a lot of mudguards and stuff, and even for Davy Browns and everything. And the QTP mudguards now is definitely very, very good quality.
I was thinking about it the other day, like yesterday. Yesterday I was running around looking for a spring for me hitch, and of course nobody would have a spring, but I guarantee some workshop somewhere sitting within 20 miles of us has exactly what I need on it. I just thought at some point, like with the powers of the internet and the electronics and the technology, it's bound to get to the stage where there could be an online. If like, you imagine that box of stuff over in your corner, everything that's in its right box has a way of knowing what's there. It's like a wee RFID tag reader or something. It can tell there's parts in the box, and it feeds back to the master pool that if you need that part, Matthew Sloan has that part. Just drive to this place and you'll get it.
There's a company trying to do that at the minute called NUT Parts. They've come at me about doing John Deere stuff, and they're trying to do a hub basically for all parts suppliers in the UK and probably Europe they're going to go into. And they've come at me about putting them together a catalogue of the parts I sell, so that if somebody's looking for a part, you basically go to NUT and they'll tell you, well, this is who has it and this is where it is. You can contact them directly and get it. So they're basically trying to have a database of all the parts places in the country and all the parts to keep a wee bit like the idea you're thinking of, which is quite good. I
do think that it would have the edge at the point where in real time, without you having to tell them on the phone what you had in stock, that it would just know from your store account exactly what you had in stock.
This country is too small, and there's too many boys in this country doing parts that are maybe doing another job and they're just doing it in the evenings. Maybe they have a wee site or something online, you know, and then the people's just looking at this wee site and ordering, and it's going over the phone and that's it. There's no, them boys don't have to keep a wild stock there.
It's a job, lad. It's official. She has two big ones.
They're not just matching yet, right enough. They will be. See if this beacon works now.
Yeah, boy. I was thinking though, and this is a question for you now. Oh yes, yes. What aftermarket trackers can you put on a tractor for security that if she was nicked, you could look her up?
Well, you see, my dad bought a new quad 2 or 3 years back, and we were told data tag was a great job, but he didn't ask too much about it, he just paid for it. And then we were talking to the police at Johnston Gilpin's big open day in the Icon Centre about a couple of years ago, whenever it was. They basically told him that wasn't worth having, because you had to find the vehicle and read the tag to know who it belonged to.
Right.
But they had something, but like a monthly subscription or a yearly subscription or something. It was basically a tracker, so the police could bring up exactly where your vehicle is in the country or in the world. They were fitted pinpointer to, was it like within half a mile or something? They were trying to tell you where she was, but I can't remember the name of it. I know the police were promoting it that day.
See, in my head, the amount of 4G coverage, 5G that's on the way, or whatever, and the price of a data sim now is peanuts. It's so cheap that surely there has to be some kind of pay-as-you-go mechanism that you could have a SIM card that can phone home when you tell it to. So it uses very little cost, and you bury it somewhere in the cab that it's getting signal, and no one knows it's on her, and as soon as you need to find her, hey presto, there is your tractor. And you can go find her with your armed guard with you.
I know a chap who got his tractor in a low loader stole, and they found her in a particular area drawing bales with the tractor and the low loader still hooked onto each other. And the boys were drawing bales where?
That takes some nerve, hey. You haven't much left to do now. Just a minor detail of nothing on the rear. So I had arranged, or I had not arranged, I had hoped to plan to put this thing on a dyno at some point, but Matthew's decided to get...
I arranged that.
Brian Horner's guys are coming up tomorrow to dyno this and a couple of others. So we're going to find out tomorrow what on earth she's putting out. As I say, I haven't done that much with her, so I can't really bench it that well. She's a different gearbox in her to the last one, which means when you hit the hill with the load of bark on, she drops a lot more than you would have expected. But it's hard to measure that against, as I say, the old one with a different gearbox. Finger in the air, I don't think she's standard. So I'm going to say she's going to be over the 200, Matthew.
I would have thought she's just over it. She's very, very lively.
But she's not, I don't think she's outrageous. I don't think we're dealing with, 230, 250. And I don't know that I want to take her up too far either. I'm just torn on that. Like, what, if this was yours, what would you do? How far would you push a 7, 8, 10 up in horses? Given that we don't want head gasket issues, we don't want really any mechanical issues caused by too much power.
No, we've had enough of them.
Yes, we've had enough of repairs done. We just want to enjoy cruising and never feel that we're lacking.
I don't want to see her back here this year unless you're getting your oil changed. Put it that way, John.
Sir, time to find out what the big lady's made of. 6420's up first. Didn't 100 horse anyway.
Well, that's not so bad. Never does the temperature gauge at all.
What?
Never does the temperature gauge at all.
How long have you had that dyno there?
I could say 4 or 5 years maybe. Bound to be. Would be, Matthew, wouldn't it?
Say about 4 years. And round,
What horsepower is you rated up to?
800, maybe 850.
880 is it?
I could be right, that's 880.
Actually, you can do a harvester with it, really?
Up to 880. Any more than that, she'll not read, anymore.
Yes.
Seen a lot of miles. Retailer's seen 4 sets of tires, that's the long she's here.
Yes. How heavy is that?
A brave weight whenever you're pulling it up that lane. I'd say about 2.5 ton on it, at least.
What's the most impressive thing you've ever seen on this?
60-70 last Friday.
I'm sure.
Swear to God. We went to do a 60-70, there's something not right with her, but it's not the problem with the files or anything that's on her. Like there's 13,500 hours on her, and we put her on, and usually they come down once they get to below 500 RPM, they just drop like a ton. But she held on right down into 413, right down and down. And it must have took that tractor, I would say, a good 12 minutes to trip that down.
Right.
And she hung on and hung on and hung on. Your man says there's 13,500 hours on her. I was waiting for her throwing a piston out of the side of her. And she let go. She was only doing 100. She was reading 144. And she held on. See the Turk and on thing? We dynoed two T7 200s, the same place. And the Turk back up, one was 10% something, the other was 11% something. That wee 6070 was putting out 21.5% Turk back up. I've never seen a yoke that lasted as long on an auto test.
You used to do events like if somebody's wanting a pipe?
We used to go to Big Brian Dorrance in Garva.
Yes.
We took that one up and we took the owl one up, and Brian asked Gilbins to take hers up.
Oh, right.
There was 3 up at Big Brian's.
That's right, he had like a charity day or
You
something.
had 2 or 3 of them every other year.
Yep.
That was a good old day now. So I suppose there's only so many times you can run a dyno event, like, you know, everybody flocks and gets them done. You're not going to go and do it again.
No, that's the problem. No, that's why I thought next year, or this year coming, you know, for the dyno at it, for when everybody comes back to the yard to dyno their tractors to see what they're doing.
But it's more money.
Aye.
You know,
of course, 2 boys, they decided to put 2 tractors together and try and sleep with each other up and down the yard. And I had to go to a funeral in the middle of it all. And I come back and here's these just big 2 sets of holes dug in the yard. I was cross.
Did you ever see the boys on Facebook where they go the other road, put the 2 weight frames together and one ends up on top of the bonnet? No, you ever seen them? They just put the weight blocks in the middle of a field and then they start digging holes and one gets down lower and the other just up over the top of it. There's a lot of years ago. What year was it? Could have been 04 or 05 maybe. I remember drawing in for Brian. It was V6600 and they'd one of them, what do they call them? They're like, you buy them like they're front linkage but they don't fold up. They're like a wee homemade job. Is it link? No, it's not link.
It's a Wilson. The Wilson's and the front linkage sits way out in front of you. It's like solid nearly. It's just 2 pins you pull back.
And it was one of them, we had the weight block on her. And we had worked all night. It was a Sunday morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning. We're actually lifting up boys' grass on Wednesday there. And every time they say, where are you going to next? We're going to Joe's field, we're going to Joe's field. And I was going down the road and he just happened to say, where's the trailers at? So I give her everything she had, V6600, flat down the road, flat out. And before I knew what happened, the front wheel shot up into the air about 6 or 7 feet. And before they came down, she lifted one back wheel. And there she is, dancing down, and she swung over on this R wheel and went like that again, and went like that. And she didn't go through your man's hedge, she went over his hedge, and she stopped. So the trailer was on the road, the tractor was in the field, and the hedge was sticking up in the middle. And as soon as she stopped, all you seen was the battery going straight out through the grill and across the field like a hammer's nail. And I walked up, the weight block fell off. And that's what raised the front of her up. And it buried into the ground, and it bounced me over the field. And Brian, he's sitting going, I was sitting there watching it happen, And I just says to him, you want to be in the inside looking out? And what had happened was, them John Deere weight blocks, you know the bits that screw in and out?
Yes.
Well, that's one big solid bar the whole way through, but you can take, they come in 3 sections. You can take the 2 outside bits off. Yeah. And in the middle bit, we'll see where the 2 sections come. That big bar sheared off in there, that's actually what had happened to it. Have you had her done yet? No?
No, I haven't a clue what she's doing.
I can't remember what our 7.8 was doing. You'd been wanting her to do 220 anyway, would you not?
I think you're happy now if she was doing over the 200. She'd be a bit lazy at 175 at the factory now.
Yes, they were 175, 180, weren't they?
I know very shortly what she's made of. I've literally no idea what she's doing. I'm hoping she's over 200. Who knows? First run done in present, people. What's it, 154 or something? Not good. I thought she was busy. I had empty tuner on her last night and he hit the hill. You do feel her coming back, but I thought it was a 50k box.
She mustn't have ever been touched then, she must be standard.
An original 7810 doing 170 horse right now.
Do you want an auto test done on her, aye? Aye.
What happens if she runs out of diesel in the middle of it?
Well, look, the diesel gauge is back low, look.
So she's done an auto test there now. That means that she just runs right through the bar curve, trying to figure out where maximum torque or maximum horsepower is. So, at the moment it doesn't look like she's overpowered anyway. Let's check a temperature gauge here now. Fair old torture on her.
Is she going to get the 180?
We're threatening the 180 here. Whoa! There you have it. We have an original 7810, basically untouched. The pin work was still on the screws on the fuel pump. She is not a common rail, she is the good old school give it a screw mechanical pump, so there ain't no mapping in this yoke. And we didn't touch her. So she's sitting at 172, I think it was, at 1000 RPM, peaks out at 184 at 800 RPM and 1200 pound-foot torque. So it's official, she's a gentle giant, she's not overpowered. Now, these engines can cope with a lot more. I wouldn't want to push one like crazy, but I'm curious. The more I think about it, I probably will eventually give her the turn up, but I want to see what kind of fuel she's burning whenever it comes to certain jobs, like a bit of haulage, try and get her on a set of mowers. Just curious to see what the benchmark is on the original engine. Of course, an original engine with 10,000 hours on it, but still, I'm pleasantly surprised. I guess the upside is I bought a second-hand tractor that isn't, or can't have been abused. It wasn't overpowered, it wasn't getting abused because of the amount of power going through the system, through the drivetrains. So the other upside is I think our heating is well and truly tested on the dyno. The dyno, we actually had smouldering foil protection around the exhaust after that auto run, which is sort of an intense period of time for them on a dyno. So I don't think we're overheating anymore, for sure. So time to head for home. I have my silage tiller gathered up, gave it a lick of a wash last night to try and help the look of it. And I was coming the road behind me in the Jeep last night, and when I went to get the tiller at my dad's, tailgated me, said I was doing 35 miles an hour, so she's geared pretty well, 50k, doing 2000 RPM, 35 miles an hour. Now, I did notice last night actually, on the road here, I thought I was doting, and there's times there I find myself correcting her, and Joe said it today that I know, without me provoking him, he says, is she hard to hold straight in the road? He says that's the wear in the TLS in them can allow a little bit of drift side to side. So that could be a winter project, because now that I've got her out of the mechanic's yard, she's not going back for a while. I need to get some time in the seat driving. I am going stir crazy. So Mr. Clyde's dung is beckoning, and I'm going to try and get it put out.